Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes to get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never popped into one of my lives before, I am Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside, and I am a bit of a rat woman today. It was my day off, and yet I was just thinking to myself, that I worked for myself today. I treated myself a little bit like I was the employer, and I went about my day trying to get some things done. And right, I wasn't supposed to start packing for my trip next month until a month before I was leaving. Today was my set of days off. In that idea, if I just keep myself busy and doing what I love, right, then I'll get ahead of the game too, in that reward for myself. And, kind of looking forward to my holidays and being with myself, relaxing, getting the chores done. I can't believe I got long. I won't even say all the things that I got done, and even working on the trip today. Like, I've gotten so much done, and I just kind of proud of myself. I don't mean to be tooting my horn in that, because, well, maybe I should. Maybe I don't give myself that consideration. Maybe I should treat myself more often like the employer, and right, make a little bit of movement. It does take that action 100%, right? Like I said, the only reason I started pulling out the Rubbermaid containers was to stay in that flow of creation, that making sure I'm so proud of myself. Every year, this vacation that I put together is more filled with my confidence, and filled more with that gift that I want to give for myself, and that evidence that I want to give to myself, that I can do it. I can create the best human being I possibly can, while enjoying the world, right? I revel in my humanness, 100%. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, it's still life. I'm still going to wake up tomorrow. Why would I want to make myself miserable? Or why wouldn't I want to make myself happy? Make myself want to whistle while I work. And that's exactly what I did today. And I've got some donations, because there's a lot of things, each year as I put these holidays together. Some things get upgraded. It's a matter of trial and error of what works for you and what doesn't. And for me, I love the holidays I put together, but each year I come home with two things that I would like to improve. The first thing is not to be wasteful in food, not to be overbuying in the groceries, and not to buy so much meat. Twice last year, I bought fresh meat, and the ice wore down and they went bad. I had to throw it out twice. That's expensive. And I wanted to pay a little bit closer attention to that, in just picking up the things that I know that I'll immediately use, right? Or won't spoil in the process of sitting in their Rubbermaid containers, or their coolers with frozen water bottles, because that's what I usually use. Is I freeze all the water bottles, and I use that as a refrigerator. And then I just buy ice along the way. I just have a little cooler It's just me. It's enough for the eggs, the butter, and eggs and butter, maybe some wieners, right? So we can have those wiener roasts in those fire pits. I wanted to be in that frame of mind today. I want to I want to make sure that I stay busy and not so much concentrate on what doesn't go well. I know last year I really had to push a little bit about some of these things that were pushing up against me in right making my holiday. I'm practicing. I'm saying that word holiday because I want to treat it because a holiday seems more dazzle and amaze rather than vacation. Vacation just sounds like a break from work, right? And this isn't what this trip is. Whether I was working or not working, this trip would happen and has happened for decades now. I'd have to say a couple of decades for sure. And it amazes me that I still really am passionate about connecting with Mother Nature, and like I said, I'm a little proud of myself that I stayed in that flow today. I'm exhausted, but the laundry is done, right? The house is halfway clean. If there was something that were to come up and I wanted to go for a walk, or one of my sisters called, let's go do this, it would be right. It'd be cool because I can go into my work week feeling like I've got things done, and also in starting, I don't know. Can you see? Yes, you can see them a little bit behind me. See my Rubbermaid containers? Right? Oh, the second thing I was kind of disappointed of the food, right? I want to be careful about the food that I take. But secondly, is I want to minimize a little bit in the clutter and what I when I bring on my trip. Obviously, I need my tools. It's a rock hounding adventure. This set of holidays has kind of got themed, and I last year I had two large Rubbermaid containers, and then I had one smaller, medium sized, like these ones, Rubbermaid containers, and then I had one on the passenger seat for all those things that I need. Like my book will be in that container on the passenger seat when I go for my drive. Those things that I might need: Kleenexes, hand wipes, those immediate things. My USB cords, right? My Osmo or my monopod or my tripod, right? Some of these things that I want to have that are handy dandy. Last year, I was on the highway and I stopped, and I was the first person to stop. And then, because I was on the highway, there was about at least six other vehicles had to stop behind me, and I put my flashers on. Everybody put their flashers on. And it was a mother bear and her two baby cubs crossing the highway, and they crossed right in front of my car, but I was so immersed in the moment. And of course, if things are not handy dandy for me, I don't want to sacrifice the moment I'm having in looking for the camera, because by then that moment is over. So I kind of relished the moment because it was spectacular, and I was the first car to stop. So they walked right across the highway in front of me, right? And there was time enough for me to grab my camera, but like I said, I wasn't even thinking of the camera. I was so immersed in that moment, right? But I wasn't supposed to start packing till the 16th of August because I'm leaving on the 16th of September. Says because last year, right, I started packing like 2 months before I left because I needed that, right? When it comes to the end of my fiscal year, right, which is in September when my holidays end, I start running on fumes a little bit. I'm looking forward to my for my break, right, and in being creative and trying to make it the best holiday for myself as I possibly can. It keeps me occupied where otherwise I might be stressed or worried. Like as much work and as much information that I've been able to dig up in the creation of this holiday, even in just getting that done has saved me so much time. That's something that I might not even thought of yet. And yet I'm just adding to it as I go. And this is going to come in so handy dandy for me when I'm on the road, that I don't have to pull out maps or my phone. And right. I can if I want to, but this way the information is right there at a glance. I'm also going to be printing off all my maps this week. I want to get two more ink cartridges because I don't want to make sure that I have all the maps that I need, because I'm doing a few mines and I'm doing some quarries. I'm doing right different provincial parks that I've never been to before, highways I've never driven on before. Right? I need to be prepared. This is the way I feel. I don't feel like I need to prepare, but I'm kind of glad that I am prepared, because it takes that worry off of me. It takes that stress off of me. Hello, Nancy dear. Thank you so much for the hearts. I knew that was you. Let me have a sip of my coffee. We're going to be picking a powerful word tonight. It's going to be our 50 second word. And each week, if you haven't been hanging out with us before, each week we've been picking a powerful word, and we've been looking at that word in different perspectives, different conversations, right? And different experiences. Sometimes my experiences, sometimes it's somebody else's experience that they've expressed. And every time I express something that somebody else has expressed, and that's a gift, well, they get a part of that, right? Right? That's just spreading the message out there. So it's a good thing to pass on a good thing. It's a big part of why I show up here, right? Every single day, fresh like a loaf of bread. Okay, let me have a sip of my coffee. Funny how things work out. Uh, Funny how things work out. Things just seem to fall into place, at least this week anyway. And I think part of that is in me not getting spinned out because I don't know if I can afford to do this, or did I overbook myself and I'm not going to be able to make it to my park sites on time if I put a little bit of hot breath on the back of my neck. That might take a little bit of that enjoyment out of my trip. So when I think these things, these are things that I can resolve, right? That I can work on, because if I'm thinking about them, if I'm worrying about them, well, the only way that I'm not going to think about them and not worry about them is to either ignore them, or just kind of contemplate on them, look at them, talk to people, have an experience, and see if there's something that can be done so that we aren't worrying, we're not stressing, right? For me today, it was about being with myself, right? Just being with myself and thinking about my trip. And then once I started the packing and the organizing and the sorting, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to donate this, and oh, I better wash this before I put this in here, and how do I cut down on the gear? I want to minimize. So I got it down to one large, two mediums, and a one that's just a little bit larger than the one I had last year, for the passenger seat, because that's the only thing that's going to be on the passenger seat. So I might as well have that big. And it's not that big. It's just like, and it's that green one, right? Right? See, it's just It's just that one right there. That's going to be on my driver's seat. That one there, and it's just going to be perfect. I'm not using that seat, and I'll be able to use the lid as a table, right? And I'll be able to keep everything at hands reach. And also, you can see that it's a clear bin, so I'll be able to see everything in the bin without having to dig through it to find things. So I took note last year that the container I had sitting on that seat was kind of a waste of good real estate, right? I could have done a little bit better by having a bigger container and just had things, because I also have my trail pack there with the bear spray and my fillet knife, just in case anybody wants to mess with me. I'm ready to go, right? So that way, if I go, ooh, trail, right, and I jump out of the car, right, I might think, oh, I'm just gonna go in just a little bit just to see the river, or right, just to go see those trees, or just to take a picture, and I'll be right back, and then get immersed in the moment and find myself walking down, right, deer trails. Right, and without that backpack. And it's not really a backpack, it's just a sports bag, but it's got a few things that would serve me if I needed them, like a compass and the bear spray and some Kleenexes and some Band-Aids, and right, just a few things. Not my big safety bag. I have one of those too, but that one stays in the vehicle, and that's for anything. I mean, I got hospital bandages, everything, just in case I come across a major accident on the highway. If I myself get injured, right, that I have these things on hand. But it's just not bandages and medical things, it's also survival things, right? Again, compasses and knives and light and solar panels, and I can't even think, right? Mosquito nets, citronetto candles, right? Lighters, kindling. I got everything. I am I'm not a survivalist. I'm not a survivalist, but at the same time, my father, when we were little kids, he would give us these fire drills where he would go fire and then he'd go drill, so we knew it was a drill, and then we'd see how fast and how efficiently we could all get out of the house, right? And no matter where you are, you should have a plan to get out of the house safely, right? So it's kind of in that idea, and maybe it's a little bit of that hypervigilance, but I do believe, right, that we can only watch our own actions. We can only be responsible for how we drive on the road, right? Lots of times, right? People doze off, see a beautiful landscape, take a corner too fast, hit the ice. Things do happen, right? And it's always good to be a little bit prepared. Not overly prepared, but right, enough that you can make a difference, right? Because I tell ya, you got hit by a car, I bet you some bandages, some clean bandages would come in handy. And so I have these bags put together, too. And I keep the medical supplies in their own bag, and I keep the survival items in their own bag, like the blankets and the kindling and the all that survival. I may go through that bag. It has gotten a little bit better since the first time I made my bag. So maybe we'll make a video or something, and I'll just show you what's going on in my trail bag and in my safety bag. But I was going to say, because I started today, I was able to take note of a few things that I would like to. I'm just going to turn this fan off because it's now squeaking. There we go. There were a few things that I noticed that I could use. So now I have to make a list and just add a few things because now it has to be worked into the budget and then also worked into the amount of space that I am allowing myself, right? So yeah, like I said, I was kind of really proud of myself that I kind of worked for myself today. I don't know where the energy came from. It came from somewheres, right? And do I need to know where it came from? No, but grateful that it did because I'm going to be able to move tomorrow in a way that I don't have to worry about. I got to get this done, and oh my goodness, laundry, and right. And then my days off are gone. Now I can relax for a couple of days knowing that, right, as long as I don't make a mess, I'm good to go for next week. Okay, you guys, every bit of energy is done for today. And that's what we should be doing, I think, in order to have good sleepies, good sleepies. My sisters ask me all the time, where does that energy come from? Right? I said, well, let's just do it now, right? You want to start now and right, let's do this. And they pooped out like an hour ago and I'm still going and at the same time motivating them. Come on, we can get right. And they always say, where does it come from? I, I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. Maybe it's that need to accomplish because I do recognize I have some of these traits that make me want to pursue and but I don't honestly know. It is a gift. I recognize it, but I also know if I don't use it up in a day, if I don't use it up, right, it'll be hard for me to go to sleep. Sometimes get this condition, it's called like running feet, and my feet will go out like 100 miles an hour, and it's really irritating sometimes because it will make it so that I can't go to sleep because my feet will keep twitching and I'll have to keep like running them on the like in the air and stuff in order to be able to, right, not be irritated by them. But it is important to have a good night's sleep. So for me, it's important to disperse of all that energy. And I go to bed, shut things down, put my head on the pillow, give my cat a scratch on the head, right? And I'm conked out, right? Getting more mature these days. So, there are those middle of the night get up and go to the washroom kind of moments, but that is the part of life, and it's a natural part of life. It's not something that, you got a bad bladder or anything, things muscles kind of relax as you get more mature on okay, you guys, I am babbling now. Almost all that energy is gone, but I'm pretty excited. We are on word number 52. We've been doing this for a year, you guys, right? It has been super curious, right? Just in the way it presented itself, just the way this whole little project has unfolded, and I'm interested in how it's going to progress, because now there's that processing, isn't it? That marketing, and yeah, so that's its own beast. But we will tackle that right after the holidays. Like I said, when you go on these great highs, when you get on the road, when you accomplish something big, right? It's important that we have something to move into because there's that initial celebration, like congratulations, good job. And then if you don't have something just as wonderful, just as ambitious, at least to jump into, we can crash and crash hard. And lots of people, they lose that hope, and then they fall back into those limiting beliefs that cause us to jump back into those comforting comforts that we delve into. So we're always moving forward. And maybe today, right, I felt like I wanted to move forward a little bit, feel like I was accomplishing for myself, and I feel good in that, and I'll feel a lot better when we get on this word, you guys. 50-second word. We're going to work with it all week. Oh, Melvin's here too. Oh my goodness. Awesome. Just in time. We're getting our 50-second word now. 3 more weeks and we are done with the powerful words. And then the next stage is getting that deck of cards printed. I think I know what company I want to work with. I have no idea how it's going to cost me, right, to get that done, or how I'm going to market it or anything, right? But that's the joy of having something to move into right away when that moment of good job or celebration, or right, that little bit of movement, and then we slack back. But if you have something to move into, that next project ready to go, right, it makes it a lot easier, and it lessens the chance of that crash that we can have when we don't see the next mountain over the next mountain. Okay, you guys, please, Cindy, pick that powerful word. We are working with this word all week. Word number 52. Oh my goodness, there weren't too many words that I could have scratched off this list, um, because there's only like less than 10 words on this list still. We're only picking 3 more words. Our third, before the end of this project, word that made it to our deck of 54 powerful words is this word, effort. This word, effort, you guys. You know, the first thing that actually came into my mind was the physicality, right? Kind of like what I was doing today, getting physical in having that actual movement, right? Just not knowing more, understanding more, sharing more, but actually seeing results. And I possibly may have needed to feel that today. I think I did. I think that's why, right? It wasn't my intent today. I was pretty certain I was going to be pretty much of a potato. I usually am on my first day off on my set of days off from the job that puts the roof over my head. Right? I usually am pretty zapped. I like to give everything I have, not just at the end of the day when I go to bed, but I love to give back to that which, right, is given to me. And this company that I work for, right, saved my butt. Literally saved my butt. But that effort was in my choices. There were offerings and opportunities, but in me deciding to take the opportunity, it was my own determination and my own accountability, right? Holding myself accountable to show up, to be there, to come in with the best attitude. Thank goodness that I had a few lessons under my belt at that point, and you guys were here, right? I I was still going live. I had no electricity in my apartment. I ran an electrical cord out into the hallway just so I could have a toaster underneath my blanket, and I turned the toaster on, and that was my heater because I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and it gets to like minus 40 Celsius, and I had no heat, you guys. It was a very scary time in my life. And you guys, right? Melvin, Nancy, you were both here when I was going through that, right? But if I had had some of those lessons that I have now, I think it would have helped because, when you accomplish, and I was accomplishing, I was moving forward, I was excited, but every time I was accomplishing something, I wasn't prepared to move into something else. I spent too much time in that congratulations, too much time in that, oh, you worked so hard, you got that done, great job, Cindy, take a break, right? And those breaks are important, but those breaks are meant for you to go into reflection, decide what's the next move, what you got that one down packed, what are we going for now, right? And so that we don't have, just like I was saying, just so that we don't have those crashes, and right, because those moments that we do, right, pat ourselves on those shoulders or recognize how good that we've done, those are just moments, right? I constantly look to my past, to some of those miraculous decisions that I made in my life that offered up opportunities for me to get a little bit better in what serves me now, right? My decision in high school to trust an English teacher or to join drama class, right? That helped me to come out of my shell 100%. It also showed me that people do care. Some people do care. Not everybody out there is out to take you down, right? There were lots of lessons down the road, and each one offered up an experience and a tool at the end, little tool belt that each time we're just adding on all these tools. But I don't know. Sometimes we forget that how we earn those tools. Those are like our medals. We earned the right to use those tools, and yet in that moment of congratulations, we want to take a break, or or we don't know what to do next, that we bum ourselves out, or worse yet, another opportunity comes across our paths. And because we don't know what to do, and this opportunity comes across our paths, we bite. We bite like a fish at the end of a fishing hook, because you have no idea who's reeling you in, right? And that's a truth. Yeah, if there ever was one, right? Okay, let me come in here. Effort is a word that has haunted me for a very long time and still haunts me, lol. Effort equals encourage, fight, fight some more, and take action. But Nancy, why has that haunted you? Do you mean because you very are much a go-getter? I know that you are in a chair and you have limitations, but you have never let those limitations stop you in any way, either in your educations or in your self-reliance, right? Or in the projects or in the hobbies that you do and those things that keep you occupied. Oh, I get you. Oh, but 100%. Nancy, as much as you were with me in my moments of right, oh my, goodness and those woisy me's. I've been with you too, right? And we've managed through the encouragement of each other and our crew, right? To just get through them, but recognize that, we worry too much, we stress too much. And sometimes we are our own instigators in that because, right, we're not doing for ourselves because we're taking too many too many breaks, right, after our accomplishments that it's hard to start up again. Right? I'm not a big believer in that high impact exercise. High impact, that's right. That's not me, but I understand that there are people out there and people that I admire and people I take lessons from who move that way. Sometimes in looking at this word effort, that guilt and shame, right? Just like you said, Nancy, that sometimes you struggle with it. I don't think I struggle so much with the effort because I know what a hard worker I am. I know how much energy I put into things. I know how when I put my mind to something, you can't sway me in it. It's happening. That when I commit to something, it's a done deal, right? I have to hear that word. I commit. I have to hear it from myself. But once I do that, we are solid, and you can count 100% that is going to happen. But that doesn't stop the guilt and shame to surface, right? The problem isn't in the effort, it's how we feel about ourselves, right? Whether that effort is being made or whether that effort isn't being made, it doesn't really matter because, right, in those lessons of growing into adulthood, right, we learn these things along the way and it just becomes second nature to feel these emotions all the time, right? In this word effort, right? Sometimes for me especially that guilt and shame because I don't think I'm doing enough. And yet, right, being my own employer, like I said, I was a little bit of an employee to myself today, and it felt good to work for myself, right? It felt good, right? It takes the worry, it takes the stress, it makes me feel like I'm a little bit ahead of the game. It makes it that I have a little bit of heads up of where I might have swayed a little bit off the track if I didn't have these resources like I need batteries because it seems that my batteries have just naturally become defunct in their capability. So I had a big container of batteries and yeah, none of them are working. I just tried to change the clock and I'm not even sure if it's keeping proper. Oh, it's keeping proper time. Maybe I got one good one good battery. We'll see how long it lasts me. But that's true though. But when we get ahead of the game a little bit, right? If we stay in those projects, if we keep ourselves busy, if we don't get distracted by what wants to distract us, because we understand everybody is vying for our attention. Everybody. Like even I'm vying for your attention, right? Everybody is. But it's to each one of us to decide and be our own employers and decide for ourselves, right? Decide for ourselves what we're going to pay attention to, what's going to get our attention. I'm watching such a great video right now. It's a documentary. It's America's Giant Redwoods Are Thriving in Britain. Here's why. So those great big California redwoods that were where the trunk of the trees were bigger than houses, that cars were able to drive through tunnels on the trunks of the trees. These trees were so huge. There was some English dude who came to California, and he was an entrepreneur, and he got it in his head, oh my goodness, the Brits are going to go nuts over these trees. And he took a whole bunch of these seedlings of redwoods back to Great Britain. And anybody who had a mansion or a manor house or castle wanted these trees, these ancient trees. And now, 150 years later, you guys, Britain has more California redwoods than California does, than all of the United States does. Isn't that incredible? It's that diversity. It's saving the tree, right? You're sending it out there, so if it dies in one place, then it has that opportunity to still thrive in another. And now Britain has more redwoods than North America does. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm not quite finished the documentary. I still have a few minutes left, but I wanted to come in and do my live because I could feel that energy was kind of done, and I would like to be able to just sit in this chair now, enjoy that it's done, take in a lesson, celebrate for half an hour or so, then crawl into bed and re-energize and start it all over again tomorrow. Okay. Yes, Cindy, but effort is harder for me because I don't work and I have work to keep myself busy and fight boredom. I get that too, Nancy, because that's a big worry for me too. Because if I had the opportunity, I'd like to cut back a couple of days more and maybe just go to weekends or something in my job that puts the roof over my head and spend more time in working within my brand and working in understanding emotions and delving deeper into different personality types and how we can better socialize and stop our race from going extinct. These are the things I worry about. I don't sweat the small stuff, right? We got bigger things. We got bigger things to worry about 100%. But I get what you're saying there. I get what you're saying there, Nancy, because I worry that I'll be bored too with that extra time. And if I have that extra time, then maybe I would probably delve in a little bit deeper into that pink ice donuts with the sprinkles when I couldn't afford it because I don't have a job. But somehow I've raised that money for the pink ice donuts with the sprinkles, right? Silly things. But you're right there. You get to go to work and do things that you don't have to figure out how to keep busy without getting flustered doing it. But that only takes practice, right? And you're doing that within your own life with your trains, right? With your hobbies and your interests. You are creating an amazing life for yourself and you're staying busy. Oh, and your diamond art. Oh my god, all the your YouTube. Nancy, smarten up already, right? You're not recognizing the tools that you have on your tool belt, right? I'm recognizing them, right? You have to recognize them too. Okay, with me, I have to figure out each day what I can do to keep myself busy and do something I actually want to do. Sometimes things get old for me. I love my hobbies, but sometimes I get bored with them. The boredom. Well, you know, my lessons and the sources that I get some of my lessons, I said, that would say to me, if you're getting bored with the lessons, Cindy, it's time to expand. It's time to stretch your wings. It's time to switch it up. It's time for a 180, a 360, a pivot, a wrench thrown into the engine, because that's exactly what will happen if you don't pick that movement, right? Something else will come along and pick that movement for you, and it might be something that you would prefer not to be doing, but because you weren't making a decision, whoever, whatever, made that decision for you. And then you get a wake up call with that. And those wake up calls, they are definitely interesting. 100% super interesting. But I understand where you're coming from, Nancy, especially when you have a lot of time, right? And you have a lot of energy to disperse too. You might be in a chair, but maybe the fact that you are in a chair, right? You're not physically dispersing. So physical, all your dispersing is done mentally and emotionally, right? Do you exercise, Nancy? Do you exercise? Mm, good coffee. Oh, I haven't been able to enjoy a nice. I made several cups of coffee, but I was so into my projects. I make my coffee, sit it there, and then I'd off go do off whatever I was going to do, and come back, and it would be cold. That's the first nice cup of coffee I've had pretty much all day. Oh, just the arms. Hmm. Can you swim, Nancy? Because I know here in Winnipeg, low income can get rec passes where they don't have to pay to get into the community centers and to the public swimming pools and stuff. Is there? Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness. I don't need legs. I don't know if I'm super gassy or what. Because every time I get into a swimming pool, it's like I'm jumping into the Black Sea. Right? And I just like so buoyant. You could drop me in the middle of the ocean. I would probably survive. I would just bob along like, like one of those life bulbs or life balls that the fishermen use, right? Yeah. I don't mean to laugh at it because that was the image that came into my head, but it is so true, you know. It's why one of the first things that I learned when I was a little kid, I was jumping off high dives by the time I was 3 years old. I was right. I would let myself into the pool house by myself. I'd sneak the keys and go to the pool house myself, and I'd spend hours in the swimming pool. But it was learning to float on my back, right? Whenever I get tired learning to swim, I would just lay on my back and I'd float and rest for a while, and then I'd turn around and I'd start swimming again. Yeah, no, we don't want our Nancy drowning. Nancy. No, we don't need Nancy drowning. But also, Nancy, wouldn't there be employees in those programs? Don't they have programs for people who are paralyzed for getting into a pool? Oh my goodness! I tell you, if I was paralyzed, I'd want to be in the pool, right? I would be the only place that I would feel like I'd have any little bit of normalcy. I think in my life, right? And I'd have to find a way to learn to drive. I would have to learn to find a drive. Yeah, I bet you have lots of amazing tips for people who want to live an independent life, Nancy. Right? You should bring that onto your YouTube channel. You should bring that onto your YouTube channel because you have been on your own your entire life, Nancy, and independent too, right? I bet you those videos would help a lot of people out. And all at the same time, I think they would probably be important topics that a lot of people would be interested in learning. When I learned, like, one of those lessons, right, is your purpose comes from your pain, right? And Nancy, being paralyzed, I don't know. Is that your greatest pain? I mean, it's our perspective on things, right? Lots of times people look at our physical limitations and don't even look at them as limitations. They just learn to adapt and conquer, and learn to be master artists and painters by holding a paintbrush in their teeth or in between their toes, or right, have a dream of wanting to win a gold medal in the Olympics and have the opportunity, right, in the Special Olympics to make that dream a reality. Oh, oh, okay. I won't throw that idea. That idea is shut down permanently, Nancy. But right, you have a lot of hobbies. I'm not sure, right? And your hobbies are very dear to you already. Maybe just they just need a makeover or renovation, like what you're doing with your table, right? And redoing your table and redoing the mountains and everything, right? Maybe just makeovers, redos. And your dolls will be coming out of isolation soon, won't they? Well, spend more time on YouTube, Nancy. You have a channel too, right? You could go live every day if you wanted to. You could share your insights. You can help people move forward 100%. You're so smart and you're so creative in the content that you bring to YouTube, right? You could think of something, Nancy, and I know you will, right? You can stick things out, even if they do bore you. And I better not bore you 100%, Nancy. You've been with me for a long time. It'd be really sad that after all these years, you've become bored with me and the chit chats that we have, and then off you go. Yeah. I become looking for your butt 100%, Nancy. I would come looking for your butt. But for this last couple of minutes, just bringing it right back to the main trunk. This week we got this word effort. Nothing happens without that effort, right? Nancy's table, her train, the town that she's putting together, the mountains that she's creating in paper mache, none of that would have happened unless she put that effort in. Nobody was going to do that. Nobody was going to do that for her. Nobody was going to get my laundry done or start sorting out my camping bins and getting ready for my holiday, right? Nobody's going to do that for me. I have to do that for me, right? And I have to make that list of things that still need to be purchased and those things that still need to be done. I have to get those maps printed, right? I have to make a list each day of topics that I want to have conversations. Some of those topics will be inspired by the moment, and I'm sure some of those topics will be in place, but I will be inspired by something else and it will switch to something else because that's just the way I roll. Because I always work with what comes across my path. And this week we got this word effort. And now that I know that it is a word that Nancy struggles with, right? I'm going to be really creative because I don't want my friend Nancy to struggle, right? 100%. And especially struggle in something where I can clearly see that she's putting a great deal of effort into. Okay, you guys, that's my good chair. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you, Nancy, for popping into my live. Thank you, Melvin. Thank you, everybody that pops in later. I hope everybody's having a great night and a great week. And we will back tomorrow looking at this word, right? In a different perspective, effort. We'll do it in a manner that doesn't make us, right, for me, myself, and I, the guilt and shame. It has been coming and simmering and bubbling to the surface. Guilt and shame. I understand that they are the lessons that I am being bombarded with, right? And I do believe rightly I am bombarded with it because I can see those are lessons and tools that are not yet on my tool belt. Okay, you guys, that's my good cheer. See you tomorrow.